Access Arts Live, a weekly roundup of contemporary and classical chamber music for the week of March 2nd to 9th, 2026. The sun has just gone down here in Paris. It's been a lovely, warm, sunny afternoon. We have more than 15 different live streams for you this week, the vast majority of which are free of charge, all of which are of high quality and of great interest. So without further ado, let me remind you, if you're watching this on Facebook or wherever you're watching us and you like this kind of high quality live performances online, do yourself a favor and follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live entirely free of charge on Facebook, YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, or LinkedIn, and we'll make sure you get more than 1,000 live streams to live performances like this, thousands of hours per year. Having said that, let me start moving right into what's going on this week. If you had been following Access Arts Live already, you would know that yesterday, Monday, March 2nd, the Peggy Rockefeller concerts live streamed the Dolly Quartet with Ricardo Morales. And that today, this afternoon, March 3rd, St. Mary's Perryvale live streamed the pianist Rose McLaughlin, who, among other things, played selections from 22 nocturnes for Chopin by women composers. If you don't want to miss any more of those things, you do want to follow us and or subscribe to Access Arts Live. So let's get on to the first of these 15, because I have to fit them all in a reasonable period of time, which I say is 30 minutes. Tuesday, March 3rd, Noontime Concert, San Francisco, live streams the contemporary Tango Quartet, which is the Paris-based tango trio of Fabrizio Colombo on bandoneon, Emilie Aridon-Kociolek on piano, and Lucas Frontini on the double bass, along with violinist Basma Edris, playing works by Arolas, Bardi, Nunez, Plaza, Piazzolla, and Fabrizio Colombo himself. That'll be at 12:30 in the afternoon, lunchtime in San Francisco, the city by the bay. 3:30 in the afternoon on the East Coast, 9:30 in the evening here in Europe, and 6:30 tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning, down under in Australia. On this program, there'll be a couple of pieces by Eduardo Arolas, one arranged by the Vanga trio, Comme il faut, and then another one arranged by Colombo himself, La Cacilla. Then they'll do a piece by Augusti Bardi, also arranged by the Vanquet Trio, La Ultima Cita. They'll do a couple of Piazzolla pieces, one Tristezas, and then a series of pieces either arranged by or composed by Colombo himself. Astor Piola's Adios Nonino, arranged by Colombo. Gabriel Nunez, Raphael, arranged by Colombo. As are Julian Plaza's Nocturna and Plaza's Danzarin. And then two pieces by Colombo himself, Volver and Celedonia. This trio is following in the footsteps of the Vanga Trio, which was a group from Buenos Aires in the 1970s, which was the gold standard for tango music. Colombo was born in Mendoza, Argentina, but about 30 years ago, but is now currently based in Paris. And as of 2024, was invited to join the Quinteto Revolucionario, which is the official quintet of the Astor Piazzolla Foundation. He's got 5 albums out. The pianist Emilie Aridon-Kociolek, she gave her first recital as a real prodigy at the age of 9 in Zwieciec, Poland. Won awards in 2010 at the Piazzolla Music Competition, and she's currently part of the Cello Tango project by Ophélie Gaillard in Paris, who's very well known. And then the bassist, Lucas Ubel Frontini, he was born in Argentina, studied at the Conservatory in Toulouse, and then at that Trinity Laban Conservatory in London. Works as a freelance musician in Paris with a lot of people. And interestingly, the violinist Basma Edris on the surface looks like, oh, standard American, Juilliard School, Managed School of Music, plays with various Bay Area orchestras in the San Francisco area. Yeah, but she's originally from Egypt. And she has performed with musicians from the Arab world, given Arabic music workshops at Berkeley and Stanford, taught Arabic music at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music, where she's a member of the music theory faculty. And she also teaches at Santa Clara. Top people playing tango music. Okay, then we move on to the next. It took me much too much time to go through that level of detail with each of those people. I'm going to have to reduce it or I'll never get this done in time, folks. So hold on to your hats. Next up. There are those who say that Brahms was saying his farewells when he wrote two of his most famous sonatas late in life. And Wednesday, March 4th, March Vivo live streams Nicola Boud on romantic clarinet and Anthony Romaniuk on historical piano playing those sonatas, as well as songs and intermezzos by Brahms and Karl Bayermann's Die kleine Bettlerin. This is at 6 o'clock in the evening, European time, noon on the East Coast, 9 in the morning on the West Coast. These two Brahms sonatas, the Opus 120 clarinet sonatas, were composed by Brahms when he was staying at Bad Ischl, and after he hadn't written for a while, and he wrote them for clarinetist Richard Mühlfeld, who had inspired Brahms to start composing again after a long period of silence. They're also doing 3 intermezzi for piano from Opus 117 and 5 songs by Brahms. And then in the second half, they'll do Bayermann's Die kleine Bettlerin and another passage from the 3 intermezzo for piano, Opus 117, and then finish up with the sonata for clarinet and piano number 1 in F minor. In the first half of the program, they're doing the sonata for clarinet and piano number 2 in E flat major. These are both Opus number 120. So Nicola Boud is Australian, but she studied at The Hague, historical performance. She's the principal clarinetist with the Orchestre des Champs-Élysées, with Reich there, the historical music specialist. She was a professor of historical clarinet at the Paris Conservatory for a number of years, and now she's at the Royal Conservatory of The Hague. Anthony Romaniuk is more of a freelancer, performing regularly in Europe and Asia and the United States, and he's got a couple of albums out already. So that's what March Vivo has for you on Wednesday. They'll have more for you on Saturday and Sunday. Next up. And now for something completely different. Okay. Wednesday, March 4th, the Old Church in Portland, Oregon, hosts and live streams the United States Air Force Band's Golden West Brass, playing music designed to bridge cultural, linguistic, and socioeconomic differences to advance international relationships and inspire positive experiences for all. How about that? That's at noon in Portland, 3 o'clock on the East Coast, 9 in the evening here in Europe. That's the brass quintet, this Golden West Brass. They're part of the larger Air Force Band of the Golden West, and this goes back to the 1940s when they formed a lot of these bands. Do not think that because it's a military band that it's all marches and unsophisticated music. These guys have played at the Kennedy Center in the live streams from the Millennium stage, and they put on a sophisticated performance of contemporary and classical music. And we move right along. I think this is the last of the live streams on Wednesday. It was banned in Hanoi and Saigon in 1945, but Roulette Intermedium welcomes it back. Vietnamese Ca Trù chamber music. Live streaming writer-choreographer Anh Vo with violinist Gabby Fluke-Mogul and Marika Kovacevic and violist Jessica Pavone, recreating this Vietnamese Ca Trù chamber music, which was banned because it was associated with the twin evils of prostitution and opium dens. So 1945, when they had the revolution to get rid of the French colonialists, they wanted to get rid of this too as part of the decadence of the colonial epoch. This will be at 8 o'clock in the evening, New York City time, 5 o'clock on the West Coast, 2 o'clock in the morning here in Europe, noon down under in Australia on Thursday. This will be structured improvisation, combining, we're told, the sonic vocabularies of Ca Trù, contemporary Western string music, and experimental dance, because Anh Vo is a dancer. And that photograph you see there is sort of like, well, what is this? Well, that's exactly it. This is now. So you'll find out what now is if you tune in to enjoy this. And if you like, well, except that this now music is historically Vietnamese Ca Trù chamber music combined with modern sensibilities. No, there's one more. No, now we're on to Thursday. So there we have it. We are moving along. And first, I want to do Hysteron Proteron, the later one of Thursday's live streams first, because it's also from Roulette Intermedium. Okay. Thursday, March 5th, Ukrainian composer and pianist Vadim Neselovskyi presents his suite for piano and string trio, PERSEVERANTIA, a meditation on courage and hope in a time of war. With violinist Pauline Kim Harris, violist Celia Hatton, and Andrew Jans on the cello, live stream free of charge by Roulette Intermedium. Again, that's at their usual time of 8 o'clock in the evening in New York City. Tzadik Records, which released this album. By the way, it was released on the same day this year as when the Russians invaded 4 years ago. Tzadik Records said, placing exhilarating piano improvisations in the context of gorgeous compositions for classical string trio, Perseverantia is Vadim's greatest work to date. He was originally born in Odessa, trained in Germany. He's a prophet, Berklee College of Music and MIT now. So I think that's all self-explanatory. Then earlier in the day, that same day, Midtown Concerts is weighing in with another of its usual high-quality offerings. These two guys. Do you ever wonder how artists look at time and the weather back in the days when people used almanacs to find out what the weather was going to be? Well, wonder no more. Thursday, March 5th, Midtown Concerts live streams the Golden Wire Ensemble, or duo, playing a concert of music from the bygone days of 17th century England called Poor Robin's Almanack. I think there was an almanac back in the days called Poor Richard's Almanack that people actually used. Anyway, this is at their usual time, Thursday, 1:15 in the afternoon in New York, 10:15 on the West Coast, and 7:15 in the evening here in Europe. The music will be selections from Christopher Simpson's The Months and Thomas Simpson's Taffel Consort. Both, that's all 17th century English. Golden Wire was founded in 2019. It's co-directed by viola da gambist Arnie Tanimoto and harpsichordist Parker Ramsey, whom I think you see in that photo. But they also have together with them Thomas Fields and Lucine Moussalian on viol, and Lucine also sings. They specialize in early modern music from France and England, including underperformed and undiscovered repertoire. And I think maybe this repertoire counts as that. Another fine concert from Midtown Concerts. I want to mention that on Friday, March 6th, the Seattle Recorder Society has its monthly meet and play. For those of you who are interested in it, you can look them up under seattlerecorder.org and participate in this monthly meeting by Zoom if you want. Otherwise, we move on to Saturday. Where we are going to be drumming with Boost. And this is one of March Vivo's 2 weekend live streams. Their weekend live streams are always at noon here in Europe, so 6 in the morning on the East Coast. And well, if you stay up late the night before, 3 o'clock in the AM the night before, but 10 o'clock in the evening down under in Australia. Saturday, March 7th, drumming will be drummed again. The classical contemporary percussion piece Drumming by 20th century avant-gardist Steve Reich, which was inspired by the rhythmic patterns of the Ewe people and Ghanaian master percussionist. It'll be performed by the men from La Mancha, this grupo de percusión called Boost, live streamed by March Vivo on their YouTube channel free of charge. Drumming was composed in 1971, and before this, Reich had been composing things which weren't supposed to be played live. They were supposed to be recorded on cassette and then played at different speeds. Then he finally got the clue, well, maybe I want something that human beings would actually play, and he came up with this. And the description of it is it's constructed from rhythmic cells that repeat with slight variations in timbre, accentuation, and speed. If you saw the 8-day John Cage Organ 2 live stream, the 8-day long live stream a few weeks ago that we covered, you would have seen this, but slowed down terribly. Here it's much faster. Boost was formed over a decade ago in 2013. They're all from La Mancha, Spain. That's why I call them men from La Mancha. They play electronic, contemporary, classical, and world music. And they've done concerts across Spain and in the Musée project, in the Music for the Third Millennium series. And they have toured with Russell Peck's concerto, The Glory and the Grandeur, for percussion and band. Enjoy. Who comes after these guys? I think it's more, maybe, is it Noko? I think it is. Works by contemporary composers Cindy Cox, Robert Schumann, and the young Felix Mendelssohn are featured in Radiance, a Saturday, March 7th live stream by Noko, the Seattle-based conductorless chamber orchestra, which is devoted to removing the barriers between musicians and audiences through performers in intimate settings. In this case, a concert room at the Seattle Town Hall. This will be at 2 o'clock in the afternoon in Seattle, making it 5 o'clock in New York, 11 o'clock in the evening here in Europe, and 9 o'clock Sunday morning down under in Australia. The piece by Cindy Cox is called Dreaming a World's Edge. It's a soundscape exploring the real and the surreal. Then they'll do Schumann's Piano Concerto in A minor, Opus 54, Part 1, and that will be played by Isabel Yang, who was the young pianist who won their 2025 concerto competition last year. And then they'll come back and do Mendelssohn's very early symphony, Symphony No. 1. Noko in Seattle. They love chamber music in Seattle. And then we have more flamenco music. From Roulette Intermedium. Multi-award-winning flamenco cantaora Angeles Toledano sings flamenco and some of her own songs on Saturday, March 7th, live streamed by Roulette Intermedium with her longstanding partner, up-and-coming flamenco guitarist Benito Bernal. That's at 8 o'clock in the evening in New York City, which is their usual time. Angeles Toledano toured the U.S. and Mexico as part of the Nueva Generación de Jóvenes Flamencos, the new generation of young flamencos. She has accompanied performers like Arcángel Remedios Amaya and Ángel Muñoz. She's been a member of Paco Peña's flamenco company. She has an album out, Sangre Sucia, exploring both traditional music and modern music. So it's weaving together flamenco song with contemporary influences. And Benito Bernal made his solo debut at the 22nd Bienal de Flamenco in Seville several years ago, and he's accompanied some known flamenco artists like Arcángel and Eduardo Guerrero and La Tremendita. I think these two made a performance at the Flamenco Festival in London in 2025, which was considered one of the highlights of the event. Okay, then we move on to Sunday. And Sunday, for those of you keeping track, you want to remember that the U.S. is going on daylight savings time, so the difference between the U.S. and Europe is going to be only 5 hours. So if you're trying to watch in one country or the other to keep track of the time, bear in mind there's only a 5-hour time difference between these different countries. And the first live stream to tell you about on Sunday is March Vivo's second concert of the weekend in the Young Performers series. Piano trios by Mendelssohn and contemporary composer Albert Guinovart are featured in March Vivo's live stream in its Young Performers series, Sunday, March 8th, with the Oriol trio of alumni from the Conservatori Superior del Liceu in Barcelona. It's violinist Claudia Lopez, cellist Candela Puigbo, and pianist Nestor Diaz. That's at noon European time and corresponding times everywhere else. They start out doing Mendelssohn's Piano Trio No. 1 in D minor, Opus 49, which was in one of the early examples of such trios. And then the second piece they will do is Albert Guinovart, if I'm pronouncing that right, his trio Miral Trencat, which was inspired by a novel written in 1974, a Catalan novel by Mercè Rodoreda about life in 3 generations of a family in Barcelona before the Civil War of the 1930s, Spain before it was torn apart. This trio was founded in September 2023, and in 2024, they already received an honorable mention at the 25th edition of the Premis Podiums for Young Chamber Ensembles in Sant Joan de Vilatorrada. There you go. 2 trios, early, very early, and very recent. One more offering from Europe this Sunday. And this will be at St. Mary's Perivale, which you see in the picture there. Sunday, March 8th, a whole gang of classical musicians take the stage at St. Mary's Perivale's live streams, including violinist Natalia Lomejko and Yuri Zislin of the Royal College of Music, pianist Edward Lung, and friends, playing Haydn, Bachevitz, Clara Schumann, and Isaïe. That'll be at 4 o'clock in the afternoon European time, which will be 11 o'clock on the East Coast and 8 o'clock on the West Coast. It's Haydn Sonata in E-flat major with Anya Zislin at the piano, Bachevitz's Quartet for 4 violins, and that's played by Natalia Lomejko, Gaspar Clemencio Yulkim, and Enpei Zhu. So you see all these friends here. Clara Schumann's 3 Romances, Opus 22, played by Natalia Lomejko and Edward Lung on the piano. and Isaïe's Amitié for two violins, played by Natalia Lomeko and Yuri Zislin, and Edward Lung on the piano. As I said, Natalia and Zuri are both professors of violin at the Royal College of Music in London. Edward Lung is an American, and he's staff pianist at the Yehudi Menuhin School, and both a making music recommended artist and a Bösendorfer Amadeus young artist. Top people of all kinds coming together to make music they love. What more can you ask for? Well, here's something that maybe is more that you can ask for. This is a real magnum opus too, and it takes quite a group of people to get it done. And this is unusual, so I got to say, this is something. Ned Rorum's magnum opus, the evening-length song cycle, Evidence of Things Not Seen, is featured in Brooklyn Art Song Society's live stream Sunday, March 8th, with soprano Sarah Lamesh, mezzo Anna Lorenzo, tenor Daniel McGrew, baritone Stephen Eddy, and pianist Mila Henry, Nana Shi, and Miori Sugiyami. All three of those pianists have helped out at the Brooklyn Art Song Society before, and so have a number of these singers. The title of this magnum opus comes from the Bible, the definition of faith, St. Paul. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It explores the whole of life. It took decades to write. It premiered about 20 years ago in 1997. 36 texts by 24 writers. Meditation on the human condition. And Ned Rorum is a terrific composer. Sarah Lamesh has sung for bass before. She's been out doing operatic and concert singing across the country. The mezzo Lorenzo has also done art song and contemporary repertoire there. Tenor Daniel McGrew sang at bass when he stepped in to perform the world premiere of Daniel Felsenfeld's Visiting San Francisco. And baritone Nathaniel Sullivan, this is his first time at bass. I wish I could tell you more about them, but there isn't time to tell you all about them, so we move on, folks. But that will cost you $10.99. You need to take a 1-month subscription to the Bass website, but the Bass website is filled with all kinds of interesting information if you are interested in art song. It's a very erudite website. So, and to hear the Ned Rorum, I don't often say this, but I think it's worth coming up with paying for that. Next up, the Delgani String Quartet grapples with the end of life, playing string quartets by Haydn, Britten, and Beethoven, Sunday and Monday, March 8th and 9th, live stream via their own website. That will cost not $10.99, but $30. And it's at different times both days. We give you the times in the links that we give you. They start out with Haydn String Quartet in D minor, which he never finished. They do Britten String Quartet number 3 in G major, composed shortly before he died. And then they do Beethoven's final string quartet, his string quartet number 16 in F major. It's really a meditation on death in 3 different ways. And they have their own subscription series in Oregon. That's their main area. These are top people. Collectively, they hold 12 degrees in performance from top schools of music and conservatories across the nation. You get 2 chances to enjoy them and think about death. Okay. We have one more standard concert this week. I'm going to go a little over 30 minutes because I want to add something on at the very end. I want to try to get ahead of the game with St. Mary's Perryvale. But here's this next one. Okay. Now Music, what I call Now Music, is on the menu Sunday, March 8th as Composers Concordance in New York City live streams the trio Tirano, pianist Leslie May, violinist Funda Kizmetioglu, and cellist Chris Cortez. Playing music by Gene Pritzker, Audrey Morse, Lynn Bechtold, Anton Arensky, Dan Cooper, Walter Robel, and Paul Schoenfield. That'll be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon in New York City and corresponding times elsewhere. Featured especially are Pritzker's Everything Profound, Audrey Morse's Tintagel Castle and Merlin's Cave, and Lynn Bechtold's What If? If you know Gene Pritzker's Composers Concordance, you know you never know what you're going to get. But what this is all music for a piano trio, the piano, violin, and cello, which is fairly unusual for Composers Concordance. Usually, it's a lot more far out. It's like electronic music and all of that. So. Lisa May is originally from Beijing, where she was the first call pianist for the Beijing International Orchestra. Christopher Cortez is a Mexican-American cellist based in New York City now, plays with a lot of ensembles on the East Coast. And Funda Kizmetioglu regularly performs with the Composers Concordance Ensemble and with on Broadway shows. Has degrees from schools in Turkey and the Mannes College. Well, that brings us to the 30 minutes that I have allotted for this week's shows, but I want to get ahead of the game and tell you about next Tuesday's offering from St. Mary's Perryvale, because we always do these talks on Tuesday, and then anybody that's going to be performing the following Tuesday at St. Mary's Perryvale, I don't have time to give you a video update on them and tell you about them. And I want to tell you about this one. Tuesday, March 10th, St. Mary's Perryvale live streams the multiple award-winning pianist Jiali Wang, performing works by Dutilleux, Fauré, and Brahms. That'll be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, European time, which will make it 11 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast and 8 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. Jiali Wang is a doctoral student at the Royal Academy of Music, and she's on a fellowship at the International Piano Academy of Lake Como, where she'll be doing a number of concerts later this year as well. She's already performed at places like Carnegie Hall in New York and the Sun Yat-sen Memorial Hall in Beijing. She loves to win prizes. First prizes at the Gershwin International Music Competition, the Malaga International Piano Competition, a number of other competitions. And when it comes to early music in 2022, the Harriet Cohen Bach Competition Prize in England and the Harold Samuel Special Prize. Her biography also mentioned her work as artist in residence at the Petworth Festival, presenting 12 performances across 3 days at the Petworth Proms. I think it'll be a very interesting concert, and I look forward to enjoying it. There's always a lively chat box there as well. I have another photo from a different sort of point of view. There's Jiali Wang again with another point of view on the piano, and I say enjoy. Well, with that, folks, we come to the end of this week's roundup of contemporary and classical chamber music. I hope that you have been, some, one, or any of these live streams uplifts you, inspires you, or just shows you a heck of a good time. And with that, I'll say ciao for now. I'll be back tomorrow at 6 or 7 in the evening European time with the roundup of orchestral works, and we have great orchestral works coming up for you.